Now, to the Auditor-General, she's spoken to members of the SA National Editors Forum on her recent report into the audits of municipalities. Tsakane Maluleke expanding on her findings that more than 1/4 of our municipalities are now at risk of total financial collapse. Our reporter Linda Mnisi there for us. He's with us now. Linda, good afternoon to you. For so many years, the Auditor-General before her, the Auditor-General before him, the Auditor-General before him, and yes, the Auditor-General before him have all made the same point, that there is no accountability. What does she say?
Well, absolutely, Stephen, especially given the fact that over 1/4 of the municipalities are at the brink of a collapse. I mean, that paints a very grim picture in terms of what is happening in our municipalities. And one of the things that she keeps reiterating is how over 41 or just 41 municipalities received clean audits. And what's startling about that, Stephen, is that not even a single one of them are, metros. Those are district municipalities. More of those reported in the Western Cape. And she goes on to speak about accountability and how accounting officers, especially when it comes to irregular expenditure, need to be the one that goes after these things. They investigate where the irregular expenditure has happened. They are there and earning salaries to do exactly that and follow the law. But it seems it's not something that has been done, and capacitating these municipalities to be able, of course, to build proper financial management structures. Let's take a listen to what she had to say.
Instances, we find irregular expenditure goes undealt with. That's what builds a culture of tolerating transgressions, and where people who are charged with specific duties and given particular authority in institutions believe that they can get away with wrongdoing because they've seen it happen over and over again. So we've got to start getting accounting officers to do what they're supposed to do in law, which is to investigate matters and deal with them decisively, so that we push back on the culture of tolerating poor performance and transgressions.
It does seem, if you listen to what the Auditor-General is saying, I mean, there must be a sense of frustration in the Auditor-General's office about all of this. There's also a need for technical skills. What does she say about audit opinions?
Well, in those, Stephen, you'll see in the report that she gave that in 8 provinces, there are still municipalities that, are getting a disclaimer audit opinion, which basically means that, they're not supplying enough evidence for a good audit opinion when it comes to, the work of the Auditor-General. Much of the information that they're submitting is insufficient, which speaks then again to the issue around financial management, the management of financial statements. We know that about 62 municipalities gave quality financial statements, and she says that is a big problem. Let's take a listen.
These municipalities that have moved into the better audit outcomes, in that they moved out of disclaimer, highlight that once there is a leadership decision, a different tone at leadership level, moving out of a disclaimer is not that hard. And that indeed a disclaimer of audit opinion is a confirmation of the lack of discipline, a lack of commitment to accountability, to transparency, and to stewardship in terms of how those institutions are run.
Linda, I mean, the evidence of what happens in our municipalities is literally everywhere. I mean, the fact that we have a young boy who fell down an open manhole in Soweto is evidence of some of the problems. Now, we can blame the officials for that. Someone stole the cover, that's how it happened. But they weren't able to fix it. The water crisis we see in Nelson Mandela Bay, also all about governance. When we talk about bad governance and money, it's the audit opinions that give us the evidence. And yet, the Auditor-General's office for many years has warned us of this. Is there a sense of frustration about the lack of change? I mean, the warnings have been there for all to see for a long time.
And one of the things, Stephen, that she raises is how, our accountability does not only lie with the people in the municipalities. You go beyond that, beyond council, beyond the municipal managers, beyond the mayors, to the offices of COCTA, for example, provincially to nationally, treasury, and the role that they play in making sure that municipalities do the right thing. And she says that requires us, to have a collaborative approach in making sure that the municipalities do the right thing. She goes on to say that there's a new, in fact, there's a system where now the accounting officers are now given credit certificates, which means that they're personally held liable for failing to follow proper procedures, because at the end of each audit there are a number of recommendations that they're left with that they need to follow, but you find that in some instances municipalities don't follow on that, and they are not giving the reports to council, which means that it takes time really for them to act on that. And if everything has failed, then the Auditor-General gives a creditor's certificate.
Linda Mnisi for that update. Thank you very much indeed. It's an important story about accountability.